Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, everybody. With the little catch up, my kids went on their first school trip, y'all, with a school bus and everything. Daddy chaperoned. The kids are in separate classes, so they took separate buses, and my husband was with my daughter. He was assigned to my daughter's class, which was good because my son could not wrap his head around the fact that daddy is going on a trip and he's not a student and he's not a teacher. So good. I think that would have caused him some angst if daddy was there, because my son enjoys living in the matrix where everything is consistent and the same. Okay, there are no outliers. He might be on the spectrum, or this might be a personality trait. He's very much so, this is the way it is. We don't deviate, yada, yada, yada. My daughter, on the other hand, was very excited to have her daddy, and I got some cute little pictures. But I want to talk about something that I subconsciously do, and it hit me in the face recently, and it's being performative, at being performative in general and not being your true authentic self and really embracing the culture that you come from. This is going to be an intellectual think piece for all my people who really started following me because I did the video on microaggressions at work. So this is pretty similar. I'm going back to that a little bit as I have been released from my months long cloudy fog of unexplainable depression and sadness. Don't know where it was from, and that's why it didn't really consume me. Probably is hormonal. They do say once you lose weight and you shrink fat, estrogen is stored in your fat. So you don't get rid of fat cells, right? They stay there forever. Once you make them, you have them, you just shrink them unless you get them lipoed out. So as I'm shrinking fat cells because I started losing weight again, I think more estrogen is being released, and I think my hormones are affected. As I've said before, I have PCOS, insulin resistant, everything. And I think that my body had to readjust. So anyway, nothing really happened in my life for me to warrant the sadness. So I knew, and I'm glad I was able to have the mental clarity to realize that this is hormonal. These are not real feelings. And I just rode the wave, so to say, right? So, rode the wave. Knew there was no baseline to it. Knew it wasn't real. So anyway, now I'm out of it, and I'm starting to see these things, and I'm back to my talking about these things. So I definitely have a work persona, my authentic self persona, my mom persona, and my wife persona. I am not really truly my authentic self or who I really truly am without the assistance of alcohol. And that is because of society and social things or whatever. I always say I don't care what people think about me, but I also know I live in a society, and if I want the life that I want right now with the tools that are available to me, because I'm still fat, black, and female in America, I cannot get what I want and live the life that I want without being a functional cog in the machine. I'm going to use a lot of descriptive terminology because I don't want this to come off as offensive, but we all know the white voice. If you call me on my work phone, it is my white voice. It's not even a work voice. It is the white voice. And at 4:01, that voice turns off. And I then have mom voice, which is soothing and calming. And I don't yell at them because I am a gentle parenter. And I talk to them and all of that. This is how I speak to them. It's very even keel. I don't go up and down. There's no flexions in my voice too drastic because they are 4. And then If I'm out with my friends and I'm drinking, it's ooh child, honey, bitch, fuck them niggas. It's all of that. It's all of that. Being black in America and being from the, I'm not even gonna say urban, because you could be from urban and not be hood. I grew up in the hood. I went to a city school, public school, but it was never in the hood. So I was able to learn how to navigate the already established establishment, right? I knew how to conduct myself around whites. We all do. Everybody black knows that you can't come off too aggressive. That scares them. You can't come off too smart. That intimidates them. You have to, and I'm not going to say walk on eggshells, because walking on eggshells implies that you're kind of scared. No, you just know what to do. And it is, oh, I can't remember what show it is. Is it Insecure? Where another black woman came into the office and she was very sister girl. I'm going to call it very sister girl. It's not ghetto. It's not ghetto. It's very sister girl. That is a good way of putting it, because it's not ghetto. It's very sister girl. She came off very sister girl, and it was like nails on a chalkboard to the performative to the performative black girl who had already worked there and who was performative, because when she was hanging out with her girlfriends, she was sister girl. Except that this woman who came in wasn't performative. And she tried, and the performative black girl tried to warn her about her sister girlness, and the sister girl checked her and like, this is who I am. And the performative black was like, it comes off as uneducated. Well, come to find out, this woman had all the degrees, and she was her authentic self. She was sister girl, and it was accepted. It was accepted, and I'm gonna say accepted because it was a white owned business, right? So they are the gatekeepers of what is acceptable in their workplace, in their environment. It wasn't a black owned company. It was accepted and even embraced by the white staff, which was very shocking to the performative blacks, because we are told, unofficially told by our parents, who were raised by parents in the Jim Crow redlining, insert everything that American history has done to black people. We have passed on that knowledge to our offspring, but society is changing. I say this story all the time, and I will say it again, because that was the turning point for me, was when I was going on a job interview and I already had braids in my hair. And I knew last minute, and I did not want to spend the time or energy taking down my braids for a job that I wasn't confident that I was going to get based on the zip code of where that job was. I said, nah, I pulled it back in a bun, and they were old braids. So if you're a black girl, you know about old braids. I had to spray and brush my edges to have the illusion of neat, fresh braids. I pulled it back in a bun, extension bun. Those are cute, right? But we're taught that that is not acceptable. That is not professional looking. And my mother was like, oh, you're not going to get the job, and da-da-da. And I was like, Ma, it's cool. I already have a job. This is just a shot in the dark. You know, it wasn't like I was out of work and I was really sweating it. You know, I threw my resume out there and see what happens. And I got the job. And I realized, and I interviewed with a cishet white male, older than me. He's 20 years. That's who I interviewed with. And he was very impressed with me. Very impressed. Now, was I sister girl when I got there? Absolutely not. I wasn't. I had the braids. I was articulate, but I don't equate articulation and being well spoken as a lack of the sister girl. No. I find Amanda Seales, if you know who she is, to be unequivocally, authentically sister girl. However, she is Ivy League trained, right? She very highly educated, bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, very educated in the entertainment. I find her to be very sister girl, but articulate. So, like in the show, the sister girl was articulate, but she was sister girl. Uh, her mannerisms, the way she walked, the way she interacted with the other staff, that, hey, that's sister girl. Hey, Brad, what you do this weekend? Ooh, you had a good, very, that is sister girl. Ooh, I would love to go to the Ozarks. How is it there? You know, you talk like this. You talk like Kiki Palmer, baby. You draw out your vowels. You talk like this. Hey. You, that is sister girl. Instead of, oh, good morning, Bradley. How is it at the Ozarks? Oh my, I bet you had a splendoriferous time. You get it? Um, when I first got to my job, I always take the temperature of the atmosphere. And when I say when you take the temperature, you get a feel for the culture of the office. I always say I'm a visitor. I'll always be a visitor. Where I work, I could work there 30, 40 years. I will be a visitor. I don't live there. Once I live there, if I ever move into that district, I will then not be a visitor. I will be a transplant. Be a transplant. I'm not of there. Now, if I move there and my kids then come in early, they will be of there. I don't try to change the culture of the office unless it really puts a hole in a chokehold in me. And then what I do is I do gradual changing of the culture when people are interacting with me. I don't care what they do when they interact with themselves. For example, I know this has been done and done and done and done, but the hair touching. Now, when I came there was a two black women there. One black woman worked there 30 something years or 20 something years. She wore her hair in a perm bob. That was her hairdo. Perm, short, straight, every day. You know, that old, that greasy bob. She had that. Another black woman was there. She pretty much wore cornrow extension braids that was pretty much pinned up into a French roll so that it looked like her hair was just in a French roll, but it was cornrow. That was their hairdo. That's what they did. That's what they wore. The whites, the whites were used to that. The clear folk was used to that. Me, when I came there, I don't perm anymore. I haven't permed in a long time, but I had straight um blow dried hair. That's how I started there. Once that was over, it went to wigs. I wore my wig every day. My full lace wig. I wore my wig, and then I got pregnant a couple months after, and I was out on maternity, and I wore half wigs, V part wigs, still wigs. And then when that became too much over the summertime, got too hot. I'm pregnant. I'm 300 something pounds. I wore my hair in a wet curly number for the summer. When I had my kids and I came back to work to, show off my new babies, I had braids. And that was their introduction to the braids. And then I, started back with these half wigs. And I've been wearing these half wigs for, what is this, 4 years? And then over the summer, I wear the braids. That was my slow introduction to the culture. But anyway, it was the touching of the hair. I don't like, and a lot of black women don't like when we touch our hair, especially when you're clear, because I sit near the bathroom and I know for a fact there are only 4 out of 11 of us that wash our hands, and I'm included in the 4 when we use the restroom. One of them uses hand sanitizer when she comes out. I never understood that. And she's always volunteering to dish out food at office functions. But the other three come out, toilet bowl still flushing. Okay? And Dookie and everything. Toilet bowl still flushing. Walk right out. Don't wash their hands. You can't touch my hair. One, I'm not a dog. I find it very passive aggressive. It is a microaggression because I did a video about it before. When you comment on my hair to tell me that you like it, because they do that. That is part of their culture. Somebody gets a new color, somebody gets a new cut, but I've never seen anybody reach over and try to pet them. So that was you do a couple of this, you do a couple of these, and then when they try again, they don't get the hint. You go, oh, it's very fragile. It takes it's very fragile. If you touch it, these curls are going to fall. You say something like that so you don't break the hearts, because it's not intentional. I told you about it before. It is intent. These are the type of people that, are frequent to petting zoos. They like to touch. Oh, what is that? A jellyfish? They go to touch it. It is the running joke. If there's a mauling or death, you don't have to guess the race. They are 10 times out of 10 white. So their culture is of petting. And when you have been raised to see Black people as a minstrel show and not on your equal and for entertainment purposes only, you want to pet them. They don't pet each other. And they don't pet each other because, one, that is hair texture that they know. And two, that is their equal. I was the new hot thing in the office who changes up her hair. They just recently started asking me if that's my, what kind of color I use, because last week I had 24 inches of long blonde hair. Now today I have 16 inches of curly hair. I've been there 6 years. They've gotten a point. They know it's not mine. To the point where they don't even know it's mine when I wear it out and they don't ask. That is me changing the culture when it comes to me. I change it for me. I don't care what they do to each other. I don't like being petted and touched, especially by people who don't wash their hands. Never in the history of niggerdom have I seen two Black girls touching each other's hair unless one was her hairdresser or another Black girl was fixing it, taking lint out of a braid, twirling a curl to complete it or have it go the right way. We will fix our crown. We don't pet each other. So now they don't attempt to pet me. See? Change the culture slowly, because you have to work there. Let's face it. You don't want to work in a work environment where there's contention. You have made people feel bad. You have, been the snooty bourgeoisie one that makes people feel uncomfortable. No. If they want to treat you like dogs, you treat them like dogs and you train them nicely. You don't, unless you're an abusive fuck, you don't go around beating the shit out of your dog when you're teaching a puppy how to potty train. What do you potty train dogs? Whatever, you do it nicely. You talk to them nicely or whatever. Yeah. So I want to finish out the video by saying, yes, I do subscribe to performatism at the workplace as an adaptation to my environment. And is there anything wrong with it? I don't think so. Especially since I do think other people are performative too. It's just what you do. It's like when you're going on a first date with somebody and you as a woman know what you want. You don't come off on the first date talking about, I want my eggs fertilized. I want to be married. I want this. I want that. I want it now. I want it now. You don't, Faruka, was it Faruka Salt from Willy Wonka? You don't do that on the first date. It's a turn off. Same thing as in your work environment. There is a culture. Other people are performative too. I know they go to bars and are like, woo, woo. They don't bring that to the workplace. We don't bring that to the workplace. So I don't find anything wrong with it. It's what happens when you have people of different cultures, different backgrounds, different ages, different genders. We all have to cohabitate for these 8 or 9 hours. but don't do it in a way that you lose yourself. And if you do find yourself, here's my advice. If you do find yourself as a female, I don't really know how men do it. I'm going to speak to my friend about it and see what he does. But it also depends on the atmosphere that you work with. I was very sister girl at my last employment when I transferred schools because the staff was primarily Black, even the principal. So we were all sister girl, but we were articulate and professional, but we were sister girls. So I'm going to talk to my friend and see how he does it. But as a Black female, if you do find yourself in a professional, like, I'm talking about this, where you professional, like a white collar job, right? Not blue collar jobs. You kind of have more leeway to be yourself and be sister girl and be accepted. But if you find yourself in a white collar job and you want to get to sister girl, which you can, you're smart, you're articulate, you can vocalize, you don't have to be yelling and screaming and carrying on and being attitudish, because being attitudish is not sister girl. Being attitudish is being attitudish. Um, my suggestion is do it gradually. Little here and there, little here and there. Let them get used to it. Because if you come in there, it's like if you take a turtle that is a warm, cold-blooded creature, and you throw him, because I've done this, in water that is too hot and not as equilibrium, he'll go into shock. Same thing with the whites. If you just throw all of this in them and they have no experience and nobody's ever been that way, they will have culture shock. Culture shock. And even if there's nothing wrong with it, it could be a turnoff. So my suggestion is, because you are coming in, right? Now, if you have established that office and you were there first, girl, do you let them conform to you. But if you are coming in, I think it's just a polite social thing to do, to gradually, read the room. Read the room, because not all white work environments have not been exposed to the sister girl. Some of them have. Read the room. And if they have, then come in. Come in, come in, come in, come in, come in where you're comfortable with. And I also think, as a protection to yourself, your work environment shouldn't know all about you. I don't think so. I don't think they should know all about you. Them people, not your friends. This is not the 50s where you will retire from the same job you started with in high school. No, let them keep some mystery. Okay? Bye.